Oi, oi, and welcome to the Orient Outlook podcast, sponsored by Carol Langley Florist, with myself, Steve Nussbaum, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Southdown chum, the bearded legend, the one and only, the daddy-o. It's Mr. Paul Levy.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is episode number 362, and thanks to everyone who tuned into last week's show with Steve and Chris, who was fantastic as usual. Lots of really interesting talking points I thought that came out of that as well. I'm now back from holiday. It's good to meet fellow Orient fan John McGee and his family in the same hotel. Love the Orient merch on display, the beach towels, the third kit, all of it. Absolutely loved it. This week we've got two games to review, the week that was, and we're also joined by a very special guest from our sponsor, John McIntyre at Carol Langley Florists.
All right, John is in the building. John, welcome back to the Orient Outlook podcast, as well as Paul being bronzed. I've also got a bronzed John aside me as well. So it's been a while since you were last on the podcast. I think it was towards the back end of last season. We'll obviously don't need to cover last season, but lots has happened this season so far. So give us your thoughts on the first four games of the season.
Well, good to be back to start with. But I think we're in a bit of a false position, and I think we could be sitting here with a lot more points than we've got. I think the recruitment's been all right. I get the feeling we didn't get exactly who we wanted, but still the people that we brought in seem to be of really good quality and have got good recommendation from their clubs. And I think once we get people like Jordan Graham back, and obviously Theo a bit later, I think we'll do well again. I think we can do something like we did last season again. I think that'd be a good result, especially with the strength of the league this year compared to last year.
So you're not concerned about any of the signings that we've made collectively, given that they're all quite young. I mean, we're going to have a chat about the transfers at a later point, but just while we're on this topic now, like the fact that we've got 6 loans, the fact that they're all quite young and sort of relatively inexperienced in terms of league men's football.
Not really. I think because if they had concerns, they wouldn't have signed them. So I think when we take loan players on the whole, the loan players that we've always bought have always been pretty good and have been positive to the team. So I can't remember too many poor ones over recent years since the owners took over. So I mean, time will tell. It's so early in the season, and we've played some of the harder teams, obviously barring last Saturday, but I'm not concerned yet. No, not at all.
So in terms of your expectations, you still think I want to be around mid-table, maybe higher?
Yeah, I think there's no reason why we can't get just above the top half again, similar to like we did last year. You know, if you look back, I was just looking earlier, we only won 2 out of our first 10 games in all competition last season. You know, so we're in a similar position, and it could well go like that again with the fixtures we've got coming out, Stockport and Wrexham, and you know, there's some good teams we've still got to play in the next few weeks. So, you know, it might take a bit of time, but I think in the long run we'll be all right.
There's no easy games this season because when you look at the league, how many have been in the Championship, and to a greater extent the Premier League of recent time, like your Boltons, your Birminghams, your Wigans, your Barnsleys, your Blackpools, your so on and so forth. I mean, obviously Wrexham and Stockport aside, it's a tough league. There are no easy games. It's not like there's a rest up or a let up. You know, even Lincoln will do something. Burton seem to be, they've signed 15 players. You know, we've now got Huddersfield and Rotherham. It's just literally, you look at it month after month, it's not like, we can have a bit of a breather there. You just won't, because there'll be 2 big teams at least to play, and there is no easy month.
It's a good thing. It's exciting as well, because like, you know, it's all very well going to games that you expect you're going to win, but anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and we're playing against good teams week in, week out, and hopefully it'll bring the best out in our players as well, playing against better opposition. You know, you don't want to play against poor opposition. We want to play against good teams, don't we?
That's a good point there. You mentioned players, John. Who's caught your eye this season, or who are you excited about seeing for a full season at the O's?
I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of the games yet because I've been away as well. Thinking off the top of my head, can't remember now.
Galbraith is obviously a standout.
Galbraith I really like, yeah. I mean, he's a great player. Jordan Brown, obviously, you know, players that we bought in last season. The new ones are going to take time to bed in, you know. But I think over the next few games, then we'll start to see whether they've done good business or not.
That's fair enough.
Time will tell.
Time will tell, indeed. Any listeners who listen every week, and I'm sure plenty of you listening do, will know that John runs Carol Langley Florists, who are based in Chingford and have served the borough of Waltham Forest and the surrounding area for over the last 70 years. They've got a fantastic team there. They can do anything from bespoke wedding events, family funeral tributes, birthdays, anniversaries, Shrewsbury commiserations, anything you need, they can do for you. For all O's fans and staff, 15% off. Before I go and read out all your socials and your number, how's business, John? How is Carol Langley Florist doing?
Yeah, it's been really good, especially whilst I've been away. Yeah, it's been a good year so far. It was a bit quiet to start with, first sort of month, but it's really done well. The last sort of 3-4 months have been great, and plenty of Orient fans coming as well. It's working really well, so that's why we've taken another year up here.
Amazing.
And Jaden Sweeney is a consistent customer.
He is.
Yeah.
Nice to see him in the starting lineup as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's good. I'm glad he started the season. So yeah, we're getting plenty of people coming through the door and ringing up, going on the website. So
You mentioned through the door. We say you're based in Chingford, but as you're on, let's hear whereabouts you are in Chingford. So you're on the High Street.
we're in Station Road, North Chingford, just at the opposite end of Chingford Station, and it's just opposite the Assembly Hall and the library there. The tapestry of Station Road we've been called. Where it's been there so long. So.
Amazing. So we mentioned 15% off. To get in touch with John and his wonderful team, you can call the shop at 0208 529 4130. You can go on their website www.carolangley.co.uk, or you can find the team on social media, on Instagram at Carol Langley Florist, on Twitter at Carol Langley E4, or on Facebook at Carol Langley Florist. Any plans to go to TikTok, John? Any dance moves we're going to see from you parading with a bunch of flowers?
Probably my daughter's going to be running our TikTok, I think. Yeah, we have got one.
Right.
But she's just started it up, so I can't remember it off the top of my head. So
No
I'll
worries.
let you know for future reference.
No worries at all. Worth mentioning as well, as John said, we do reach a really good audience here. So if you've got a business or a product to promote, we can help you reach a broad audience. Get in touch. It's not too late. We have some very affordable options depending on what you're trying to do. So let's move on then to the Supporters Club update now. On Tuesday the 3rd of September, we've got Arsenal under-21s in the Football League Trophy. That game kicks off at 7 o'clock and doors will open at the Supporters Club at 5. They'll also be open again after the game. And on Saturday the 14th of September, we're off to Reading again. There's a 3 o'clock kick-off. Coaches will leave at 11:30. Adults will cost £30, concessions £27, and children will travel for £15. And then the following week, we're away at Stockport on the 21st of September. There's a 3 o'clock kick-off, so coaches will leave at the earlier time of 8:30. That's all from the Supporters Club. Adults will travel for £42, concessions £39, and children will travel for £21. And remember, those prices do not include your match day ticket. So to book on those trips or any other trips that the Supporters Club are running, you can call into the Supporters Club on a match day, although there's not that many at home in September now that Peterborough's off. So you're better off calling the travel line on 07507 539 579.
Lovely stuff. Just one piece of AOB this week, and it comes from the Rainbows, who've been in contact with us to tell us about their AGM. This takes place on Wednesday the 11th of September. It's taking place at the Stadium at Brisbane Road between 7 and 9 p.m. You can go in person if you'd like to go, or you can also watch online. All are welcome, and for more details you can email the Rainbows. They can be found at rainbows@gmail.com. And if you are going to email the Rainbows, remember there's no W at the end of Rainbows, so it's just RAINBOS. It's when you look at a word that you're so used to spelling and it's spelled differently, your brain goes into a meltdown. But great work of the Rainbows over the last 12 months. Look forward to bringing you kind of the notes from the AGM. Well done to all involved in that one.
So let's move on then to the week that was, and Bank Holiday Monday the 26th of August. Quiet day at the club, nothing to report. So let's move on to Huey Tuesday.
Yeah, Huey Tuesday, 27th of August, and at 4 p.m. the club announced that Super Richie Williams would be watching the Millwall game from the stands, having been handed a 1-game touchline ban for having picked up 3 yellow cards in the first 3 league games of the season.
Consistent, isn't he? Main event of that day, though, was Millwall away in the second round of the Carabao Cup. The team for this one was announced at 6:45 with Hemming in goal, James, Beckles, Cooper, Sweeney making up the back four, Warrington, Pratley, Obiero and Perkins, DJ and Dan Ajay starting as the front attacking lineup there. Substitutes for this were Howes, Simpson, Clare, Brown, Galbraith, Donnelly, O'Neill, Sterling and Kelman.
Yeah, so that's starting 11. Saw 7 changes from the previous lineup against Birmingham City on the Saturday, and also a place on the bench for young O and Sterling. So bit of Legende when you saw that team from your sunbed.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Literally was. Many of our subs have an opportunity now to stake a claim for Saturday, I thought. They've got to grab it. It's interesting because Richie had said that the substitutes hadn't been making impact, so this is a prime opportunity for them to be able to do that. Interesting, he's sticking with Hemming and not giving Howes a run out. Slight question mark on there as to whether or not what's happening with Howes, and a lot depends on how strong, in terms of the outcome, how strong a side Millwall we're going to be putting out as well. So, yeah, interesting one.
Yeah, for me, not a bad side. You look at it, and there's some decent players in there. I think we've spoken a lot about a lack of experience, but that side is actually fairly experienced. You've got players like Beckles in there, Pratley, Adji, 27, James is experienced, so some decent experience in there. But yeah, big opportunities for some. John, any thoughts again from you?
No, I pretty much agree with what you said, really. I mean, there's a good spine of the team, as you said, like Beckles and Cooper, at the back. So you've got the solidity there with Pratley as well, the experience. So I think it's a good team.
Yeah, good shout. A few tweets that we had when the team was announced. Complicated game, said irrespective of Hemming's form, he may play a blinder tonight, but surely we should use his competition to give Howes and others like Simpson some game time.
Yeah, Simpson's not been mentioned. Obviously, he's still recovering from an injury. Him and Graham seem to have had sort of some little setbacks, which is disappointing. But it'd be different when, like you said, Simpson and Graham come back. We'll have a lot more experience on.
I'm going to be interested to see who his favourite two are at the back when Simpson comes back.
Well, Simpson on the bench Tuesday, wasn't on the bench yesterday. So a bit of an interesting one there, where maybe Simpson was rushed on Tuesday, or just at the moment because of Beckles' performance on Tuesday night that we're going to come on to, where lots of plaudits for Beckles. Maybe Simpson at the moment just can't get into the into lineup. Cooper, obviously, we'll talk about, done really well on Tuesday. Happy is done well, and obviously Beckles played a blinder on Tuesday. Maybe at the moment Simpson is back fit again, just can't get into the squad.
Interesting. Ed Turn said, I hope Hemming has a good game for his sake.
Yeah, all right. So the match kicked off in South East London. Both teams winless in the league at this point, but looking to progress into the third round of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, we'll skip to the 14th minute on this one, as on our wide left, Lewis Warrington and Zach Albiero fought for possession. Eventually the ball came to DJ. He found Dan Ajay with a clever pass, and Ajay was able to turn his defenders, get his shot away, which went past Roberts and into the far corner of the net to make it 1-0 to the Orient.
I thought he took that one very nicely. Lovely goal from Dan, second season, both in the Carabao Cup. But great finish, I thought, there from Dan.
I thought he did really well there, because their defenders are quite big boys. Millwall don't tend to buy small players, so Dan was like half this guy's size. Did very well.
He's strong though, isn't he, on the ball? Dan Ajay.
Yeah.
When he gets the ball, and especially when he's back to goal, he keeps hold of it well.
Yeah, and obviously played through the middle on this evening. They played in the middle against Newport, and he's 2 for 2 in the middle. Obviously, he can't get into the middle spot at the moment for a league game because it's taken by Charlie Kelman. Yeah. So maybe the best you're going to get out of Adji is down the middle. Yeah. Although at the moment he's able to play either on the left or the right hand side. But interesting that he gets another goal from a central position as well. So we took the lead there in the 25th minute. Darren Pratley picked up a yellow card.
29 minutes on the clock now, and Dan Ajay beat Brian to square the ball to Darren Pratley, but unfortunately his shot was blocked.
Yeah, Ajay having a stormer of a game in this one. In the 38th minute, another decent run by Dan, hit a left foot strike, deflected away for a corner. Yeah,
fast forward just before half time, there was a break in play as DJ received treatment for an injury, and with the additional 2 minutes played, nothing of note happened. The teams went in with the O's 1-0 up at half time.
Yeah, very nice. The attendance was announced at 5,875 with 1,560 O's fans making the journey. Decent turnout, I thought,
not bad.
In that one.
Yeah, not bad.
Considering the main train station to Millwall Football Club,
South Bermondsey,
was closed, and considering it's holiday time.
Yeah, but it's a London derby. It's easy to get to. Yeah. It doesn't surprise me, but it's obviously an evening game, so a lot of the sort of young kids aren't going to be able to go to that. It's a bit too late, regardless of the fact that it's a summer holiday. Doe Lewis tweeted us at half time and said, considering Ajay hasn't looked his best so far this season, both of his goals have been very good finishes under pressure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Second half kicked off, no subs for the O's.
Yeah, 49 minutes now. Some last-ditch defending from the O's denied Millwall a really big opportunity inside the penalty area.
All right, let's skip forward into the 65th minute as DJ picked up a booking after he stopped a quick free kick from Millwall.
Tactical one there. 76 minutes now. The ball somehow found its way to Langstaff at the far post, but he headed over. Interesting. We've barely mentioned any Millwall chances. Macaulay Langstaff scored something like 29 goals last season for Notts County. Barely had a sniff.
Oh, was it that Langstaff?
Yeah.
They get him. A good signing.
Paid good money for him.
I think he scored at the weekend, so obviously if you listen to the Millwall Outlook or whatever the Millwall podcast is, I'm sure you'll find out all about
No one likes us.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. All right, 77th minute in the first changes for the O's, as Sonny Perkins and DJ were replaced, and on came Charlie Kelman and Ollie O'Neill.
4 minutes later, further changes for the O's as off went Dana Jay and Darren Pratley. On came Jamie Donnelly and Jordan Brown. A minute later, Ethan Galbraith came on for Zach Obiero.
All right, 85th minute in, Charlie Kelman cut inside his man. He had a shot at goal, but his shot hit side netting.
Yeah, a minute later, Saville fired well over from outside the area for the hosts.
Yeah, 2 minutes later, the pressure starting to build now. Omar Beckles stood well. He blocked a goal-bound shot, which was followed up by an effort from McNamara, which went high and wide. That was good defending there by Beckles.
He did very well.
Blocked the shot from going anywhere. Done well.
He had an outstanding game. I know we've not really covered it in much depth, but Omar Beckles, by all accounts, had a standout game. 6 minutes of additional time went up on the board, and in the 95th minute, dangerous cross came into the Orient box, but Brandon Cooper got there first, ahead of Bradshaw.
Yeah, with no further action to report, the full-time whistle win, as it was the O's who progressed into the third round of the Carabao Cup, as they knocked out Championship club Millwall in a night to remember at the Den, to leave the jubilant away fans singing Richie, what is his name?
Absolutely. Well, his interview is obviously now nearly a week old, so that is on the club social media channels. You can go and listen to it there. Your views on that one?
Yeah, I mean, good to make it through. I had a feeling we'd win that.
Really?
Yeah, I had a little hunch we'd win that, so good to see my hunch came off. I mean, nice to see lots of plaudits for Omar and Cooper. Seemed like they both defended really well, put their necks on the line. Gives some nice headaches for Richie going into Saturday. I thought
Really does,
it was going to be hard to drop Beckles off the back of this, and Tom James as well, given the performances and the clean sheet. But I was happy with that. Good to see Warrington as well get some game time. Good to see Aggie again on the score sheet. I think for me, he has to start. I think when I saw his name not on the team sheet against Birmingham, I was fairly surprised. And if his best position is as 9, and does he start over Coleman? Based on the season so far, I think he's got to be given a decent opportunity to play in a league game in that 9 position. And I just ended by just saying, hopefully we get a good draw for the next round.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I agree. Great to be in the third round. Hemming has a clean sheet.
He does.
Finally, as well.
Well, they didn't have a shot on target, did they?
Exactly. But that's good defending.
Yeah.
And it will obviously, like you say, arguably it's easy when there's 0 shots and goal and 0 on target. It's easy. But the fact that he's had very little to nothing to do is a credit to his defenders, and obviously they're part of one unit. It's not just individuals. It's not like Hemming concedes all the goals and the defence don't.
Yeah.
It's a little group effort there. Lots of feedback that Beckles and Cooper are outstanding, which is why probably Millwall didn't really have any shots at goal. And let's hope for a big draw at home or a London club away in the next round.
All right,
is what I wrote at the time, and who knew?
Yeah, we'll come to that. John, what are your thoughts on Millwall away when you saw that we beat them?
I thought it was a brilliant result. I mean, it's one of the hardest places to go and get a result, isn't it? Really, they didn't have a full stadium, but it's still a tough place to go and get a result. So
Horrible place.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant and a great turnout from our lot as well. 1,500, I think.
Yeah, great stuff. Right, lots of views came through to us after beating Millwall. We're going to mention a few that came into our Twitter account. We'll start with Steve at Chaplin4, who said superb away performance, restricting the Championship club to 5 shots and none on target. Beckles and Cooper solid at the back, and Adji beating their left back at will. Let's hope for a decent tie in the next round.
O's fan Basing said it was a really good performance. Back 4 and the midfield were excellent. Really made them look awful. Love beating that. Love beating that lot. Knocked Beckles in the past, but immense today. Sweeney was very good also.
Yeah, nice to see some plaudits there. And I think we've mentioned Omar had a great game. Dan William H. No weak links tonight. But Omar, that was as good as an individual performance I've seen in a long time. Some of those headed clearances and interceptions, fantastic.
Muriel 2 said, love the Hemmings clean sheet. Thank God they didn't have a shot on target.
Ben Whitlock 13 said, massively impressive. Obiero, energy, tackles, picking up loose balls, composed on the ball, looks and passes forwards, quietly growing in confidence and becoming a key player for us. Please give us a decent third round draw. It's a good point about Obiero. He's really kind of kicked on towards the back of the season. He can't come from nowhere. Like this time last season, he was nowhere near the first team. He went out on loan to a National League South. I don't think he was making National League in his last loan spell. I might be wrong, but what 6 months? Obiero's had.
I think Richie's always spoken highly of him, though, hasn't he? Since he's been here, I think he's liked him, and he's the type of player that fits into the way Richie wants to play. So I thought he might get a chance this season, to be honest. But it's good for him.
He's grabbed it with both hands, hasn't he?
He really has. Dear Stu said, fantastic performance. Brandon Cooper take a bow. He's an absolute warrior. Proper old school centre back that takes no mess. Ajay unplayable in the first half. Millwall left back couldn't handle him. Prem team at home in the next round, please.
James O'Hagan said, ugly win we had to fight for. Centre backs were immense. Beckles looked like a man 10 years younger, and Hemming needed that clean sheet. Now, if Adji turns up like that every week, we're laughing. Hopefully he and Kalman can gel from now on. Up the O's.
Linda Brogan said, Beckles was amazing this evening. Where has he been till now? Ajay was class and thought Sonny Perkins put in a great shift. Let's hope the team take this confidence to Shrewsbury on Saturday and we can start to show League One that the O's mean business.
The Punjabi O's said, solid performance from defence to attack. Free of errors. DJ's assist is not being talked about enough. That was fabulous. Yeah, I guess we haven't really kind of touched on it too much. Good little assist there.
It was a good pass. It was a good battle on that left side. To then the ball fell kind of fortuitously for us, but we reacted quickest to it, and DJ slides the ball straight through to Dan Ajay. Yeah, really good assist there. Orient _fan said, next day review. Who doesn't love a London derby win? It felt like a real collective performance. Ajay lively in attack, Pratty running like a 20-year-old, and Beckles and Cooper were rock solid. Important to build confidence and shows winning ugly still counts.
Yeah, and the final word on Millwall away goes to Gorillas 1985, who tweeted, I said, wahoo, a clean sheet will do Hemmings the world of good, even though as a team we restricted Millwall to no shots on target. Squad players stepped up tonight. Roland Shrewsbury on Saturday for our first 3 points in the league.
Indeed. So that rounds that up. Just left to do the prediction league now. So well done to Parksy 1881, Matty LOFC Evans, and at Chris W_1. You guys all correctly predicted 1-0, so you'll get 3 points. Well done, guys. But Ben Linton gets extra special mention here because he correctly predicted 1-0 and Ajay to score, so he gets 4 points. We'll do a top of the table roundup later on in the show.
Ben Linton had 2 weeks running of 4 points. Literally got Birmingham bang on at 4 points, and he got Millwall. So well done to Ben. All right, Wednesday, the 28th of August, the club announced that the upcoming fixture against Peterborough United on Saturday, the 7th of September, has been postponed due to international call-ups for the O's, as Ethan Galbraith, Ollie O'Neill and Jamie Donnan will be missing in this one, with a new date for the game to be announced in due course. A bit disappointed by that one. I think we kind of mentioned that it looked like it was going to be moved and the announcements only kind of come in the week that was, but are we not past that at this point? I mean, Galbraith, O'Neill, Donnan, yes, all 3 first teamers. However,
we've got a strength in depth that would allow us to cover for that. Granted, Galbraith is a really key component, but it then allows someone else to come in and do the job that he was doing in the spot that he was doing it. It's not like someone is going tomorrow, like we've learnt today, and he's going. It's not like we've got to make last minute plans. It's like we've got the squad players, use them, and now we've then got a congested Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday at some point in the season. Which, quite frankly, if you're talking about fatigue and legging already, why aren't we playing our Saturday game? And we'll do no worse than if we had them, in my opinion, because we're supposed to have that quality and that strength in depth with all these loan signings that we've got. Donnelly being a loan signing as well means that we can have all 5 loan signings in the match day squad.
Fair point.
Is that our decision?
Yeah, we asked to call it
I
off.
think it's because of the fixtures that we've got to start the season with, to be honest with you.
But I don't think Richie would have wanted to have rested.
Yeah, maybe not.
I think he'd have just wanted to keep going.
Yeah, I agree, because it doesn't, like I think Paul alluded to earlier, straight after Peterborough you're away at Reading and then you're away at Stockport. So it's not like you're on to 2 bankers after Peterborough. If you push Peterborough back, you're on to 2 very difficult games. I think Reading last season was a 1-1, maybe could have gone a different way had we taken our chances. But you know, the next 3 league games, Peterborough, which is now obviously cancelled, Reading away, Stockport away, it doesn't ease up at any point. No. And then after that you got Wrexham at home. So, you know, and maybe Peterborough gets stifled somewhere between those games, and you're looking at, like you said,
probably be like
Tuesday. Possibly. Can they do it at Brisbane Road on a Tuesday night? We shall see. And very late in the evening, then, well after 10:30. So the draw was supposed to be at 10:10.
Yeah.
Obviously, Forest Newcastle was on Sky.
Went to Pens,
and then they spent like 20 minutes analysing the penalties, which was absolutely ridiculous. The draw didn't even take place about 10:40. It was well late before it started, but when it did eventually take place, the O's were drawn away against Premier League Brentford. Last time we played Brentford, it was a League One fixture.
Yeah.
Podcast didn't even exist.
Yeah.
I was quite happy though.
Yeah.
when I saw that.
I'm
Brentford
happy with
away is one you look at. You're
Premier
like,
League, London, away, new ground.
ticks the boxes.
Perfect.
Ticks the boxes.
Absolutely
So I was
right.
fairly happy with that. You?
Yeah, and it's not a team where you haven't got a chance, is it? You know, if they put or you'd expect them to put probably a second string out.
I would agree.
It's
Yeah,
half a shout.
absolutely
Half a
right.
shout.
We could go there and really cause an upset.
Yeah.
I think.
I think we'll get spanked, but I'll enjoy the day. I mean, you talk about their second string. They've got players these days like Carvalho, who cost them 30 million, who is on their bench. So I imagine it'll be a good opportunity to play those who you'd expect will have too much quality for us. But
I think they'll give us time and space because of how they play, which will play into some of our players' hands, like the Galbraiths and the Donnellys, who are used to playing at that kind of pace because they've come from, and maybe Warrington to an extent.
It's a derby as well.
Yeah, it's a London derby.
It's 11v11 on the pitch, right?
Absolutely.
It's in anyone's hands. That game is either going to be played, I think, week commencing the 17th of September or week commencing 23rd. If it's the 24th, which I think it might be the Tuesday, it's Jesse's birthday, so obviously I'm out of that one, but we will see that one. Quite a lot of tweets, quite a lot of excitement about that one. JME Ray 72 said, "Is that the Mark Devlin derby?" Yes, it is. It's definitely the Mark Devlin derby.
Certainly is. At lovely_Orient said, would have liked someone bigger, but we should take a good crowd. Gives us an idea of what kind of club we hope to become and gives Devlin the opportunity to go back to show off the better half of London.
I was going to say it's also the Moses Odumbaju derby.
Yeah, true.
And also going back even further, the Robert Taylor derby.
Oh, wow.
Remember Robert
Great
Taylor?
show. Of course I do.
Absolutely. Sunshine LOFC said we're going into Brentford's backyard and we will be throwing our weight about.
Gold 931 said decent draw, Prem side, new ground, better than what we could have got. I mean, it could have been worse. We could have honestly got a worse side.
Could have got Fleetwood away.
We could have gone Barrow away.
Could have got Fleetwood away or Barrow away. Yeah, so not bad at all. Obviously, that fixture gets announced
got
this
Chelsea
week.
at home.
Next round, mate, in the fourth round. In the fourth round, all right. Thursday, the 29th of August, Ethan Galbraith was finally named in the Northern Ireland squad, and he will be in that squad as they take in Luxembourg in Belfast on Thursday, the 5th of September, and away to Bulgaria on Sunday, the 8th of September. And Ollie O'Neill was officially named in the Ireland under-21 squad as he'll be facing Turkey away on the 6th of September, and then they are home to Latvia on Tuesday, the 10th of September. Good luck to both of those gents.
Indeed. Friday the 30th of August then, transfer deadline day. And the O's announced their 8th signing of the window at 3:30 with the loan signing of Republic of Ireland under-21 international keeper Josh Keeley from Tottenham Hotspur for the season. Richie said, we're really pleased that Josh will be part of our squad. He'll come in and provide some real competition in our goalkeeping department. It's an important next step in his career. We all know that he will come in and give his all for the club. He's highly rated by Spurs and also has international experience as well as having a successful loan spell at Barnet last season. Financially, it's a really good deal for us and we're really excited to have Josh on board.
Yeah, I've also got a quote from mine because it kind of put a different spin on it as well. It said, Josh is a young up-and-coming keeper. He had a good loan at Barnet and international experience at Irish youth level. Very well thought of at Spurs. Dean Brill is the goalkeeping coach at Spurs and he's someone who I trust a lot. And he speaks very highly of Josh. He will provide more competition for that number one shirt. And we feel that our goalkeeping department is in a very strong place for this season. I think I took that as the key line there in terms of Martin's thoughts by saying goalkeeping department very strong. Billy Legende, when you saw that as you just landed back in the UK, what are your thoughts when that signing was announced?
Don't know anything about him, won't profess to know anything about him. No idea if he's going to be good enough for our level. Barnet in the National League is a very different proposition, club size and league to where we are now. But it's another loan signing, another loan in the building. Why do we need another keeper? We've got two already. We've got Reece Byrne, who's obviously out on loan, I think, at the moment, who's 22, slightly older, granted, not with the international experience. Are our keepers not good enough if he's coming in to provide additional cover? I thought we needed reinforcements higher up the pitch, to be honest with you, like maybe in the defensive department. But it's a bit of a head scratcher for me as to why we're signing another keeper and one on loan. I welcome him to the club, obviously. I hope he does well with us. But all in all, bit of a meh, not overly impressed, to be honest.
Well, you thought there might be another keeper coming in. I think we've spoken enough on this podcast already in the opening 3 weeks of the season about goalkeeping errors and what they've led to. So I think it's fair to say Hemming hasn't had the ideal start. Or I think we discussed last week at length with Chris about you can't just send somebody back on loan these days. So Hemming is at the club now for the rest of the season. Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have another keeper at the club, but then when you've got Sam Howes who can't get a sniff of first team football, it would appear. Reece Byrne, like we said, is 22, so significantly older. the Josh who's coming in, and you also got Noah Phillips. Like, what's the point of having those three keepers on the books if they're never getting a chance?
Yeah.
So it does feel like it's almost a Spurs hand-me-down. I'm saying that if he comes in and he'll play, which I think he might get a shot at some point in the season, whether it's next week or
Tuesday night,
next month or whatever. I think it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the team. I think he's got a very good chance of being our first choice keeper this season based on Hemming's mistakes so far.
I think if he plays Tuesday night, that will tell you everything you need to know about Sam Howes.
Okay.
Although,
Well, I think
has Richie not already said?
They mentioned something in the
Sam's going out to
transfer window.
Well, he says he expects Sam to be at National League next week, so I guess we'll see.
He's going out.
We'll see what happens. But he played, Hemming has played in the League Cup. Be interested to see whether he plays Hemming again, if he wants to build Hemming's confidence, if it needs building still after those errors, based on he kept a clean sheet at Millwall. But, played 18 times for Barnet last season. It is a jump of 2 leagues, so it's not
Very
like he's
different.
But then Shaq Ford done that when he came to us last season, and Shaq Ford was an amazing success. So you can't judge it all by that, but
I think Hemming will probably stay as number 1, to be honest.
I agree.
And then he'll be the number 2. How's is going to go out? Because I think Richie said he's like 27 now, and he wants to play.
Well, I think in the talk that we'll come up to in the interview, Richie said Howes is asked for first team football, which isn't a kind of unrealistic request. When he came in last season, again he looked a bit shaky, but he'd done alright in the last couple of games where he's played. And based on Hemming's errors, I think Howes will be sitting there going, I fully expect to be sitting in, being number 1 next week, and it's not happened. And he's made another error. And he goes, okay, maybe it's my turn next week. And he made another error against Birmingham. And Howes is probably sitting there going, at what point do I actually get to play in this team if the keeper is making errors? And I think we mentioned when Tom James had a bad game, Charlton, he was out of the squad straight away. Out of the squad, not even on the bench, out of the squad. And Hemming did have 3 disappointing performances and has retained his number 1 position throughout that.
And Richie said he's cost us points, there's no doubt about it.
So Richie obviously sees something in Hemming that he wants to keep, but hopefully it pushes Hemming now, the rival of Josh, to actually maybe have to be a bit more on point, you would hope. But, we'll see. Anything else from you on that one, Macca?
Good, mate. No.
All good. All right, lots of tweets actually when that one was announced. Orient Fan TV, so they can't see Spurs loaning Josh to us without some sort of guarantee of game time. Anyway, welcome to the O's, Josh. I think that's a good point as well. I think Donnelly as well must have been guaranteed a fair amount of game time, considering apparently Birmingham City and a few other bigger clubs were in for him on loan, and obviously he's ended up at Orient.
Yeah. Mr. Russ Mill said, hardly any money to spend and waste it all on dodgy or untried keepers. Look up the road at Stevenage. Great signings to add to last season's success while we're going backwards.
Conway_Nigel said, with all this lack of experience in the squad that Richie keeps going on about, can you believe we've signed we've signed another untried young keeper? What happened to the exciting signings?
Steve de Ath1 said, good luck, hope Josh does well for us. What puzzles me is that this lad's younger than Reece Byrne, who we have out on loan. If we've any faith in Byrne, why not include him in our first team squad rather than tying up a loan place?
I think that's a spot on point actually. Great point there from Steve. Ronald 4861 said, obviously Richie isn't as confident in Hemming as we were all led to believe. The club has already made a real mess of the goalkeeping position over the summer. Good luck to Josh. He must be better than Zach.
Yeah. So then at 7:30, the O's announced their 9th and final signing of the transfer window, as they announced that left-back Jack Curry had signed on a season-long loan deal from Oxford United, having only signed for them in the last summer for an undisclosed fee from AFC Wimbledon, where he was their player and players' player of the year for last season.
Yeah, Jack said, I'm really happy to join the Leyton Orient, an opportunity for me to play games and show everyone what I'm about whilst getting the club to where they want to get to. I've played against the club a couple of times and I know that the style of play is really attractive. The gaffer told me I'll be able to show what I'm all about and a style of play which will suit me. The club utilises the fullbacks well and I'm excited to show the fans my energy and hard work for the club. Idris told me how much he loved the club and that's why he was there for 2 seasons. He knows the gaffer and the lads are top level and he said what Orient are building is an exciting thing to be a part of. Bida Lejanda, what are your views at 7:30?
Yeah, again, I can't profess to being a know-it-all about all these players, but he's clearly got some good pedigree, and he's clearly a good quality addition. He's come from Oxford United, where they've obviously now gone Championship, and he's obviously surplus to requirements there. So it's a bit of a coup, I thought, for us to be able to attract someone like that. It's obviously good that they've got someone in the camp who had played for us and given us a good recommendation. I'm sure there are several other clubs in for him as well. And yeah, I think overall I'm quite pleased with this. With this one, yeah, all right, okay, it's another loan signing, but it's somewhere where we really needed to strengthen. I thought so. That means it would be probably Claire at right back, and probably I would imagine him at left back. At the sacrifice of, unfortunately, Jaden Sweeney, who I quite like.
Yeah, I thought it was a good sign actually. I think he walked straight into the first team. In all honesty, he's got experience at League 2 level, player of the season and player of the season. Not with him last season. Yeah, this one feels like a bit more of an experienced loan signing, which I'm more into. So happy for that, and like we said, gives good competition for Sweeney. Any views from you on that one, John?
No, I agree. I think they said, didn't they? They wanted competition in each position, and now I think with that you've got 2 players for each position, more or less, which is what you want. And they, they're going to be pushing each other. And not only that, if we like last year, we suffered so badly with injuries, and we really struggled to get through that. And I think this year we seem to have cover everywhere. So I think it will stand us in good stead for later in the season.
Yeah, I think Richie mentioned letting Rob Hunt go because he wanted a fullback who could get up the pitch quicker. And I think it sounds like Jack Curry is the man to do it. So hopefully they have a good partnership there. Les OK 52 said so many loans can't be a good situation.
Stephen Orient said, very puzzled by the amount of loan signings. It seems to be different to what Richie Wellens had said before about developing his own players rather than for other clubs.
The Untold Game, very good point. It said, went to the cinema, missed the last deal at the window. Buzzing though, loan or not, Curry didn't go on my realistic dream transfer window back in May for the sole reason that I didn't think he met the realistic part. So the Untold Game, very happy there, thinking he was out of our league and we got him. So yeah, nice tweet there.
Yeah, and then Daniel _Orient, it's the final one on this, said one of our best signings out of the 9, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. So 11 o'clock came and went. There were no further signings, and the club at the stroke over 11 o'clock put out an 11-minute video with Richie Wellens and Martin Ling from their hotels in Shrewsbury talking about deadline day and the transfer window. It's probably had time to talk about the transfer window. So as you all know, listening to this, 9 players came to the O's over the transfer window. We've had Sonny Perkins arrive on loan, Charlie Kelman arrive on loan, Dylan Yasimi arrive on a free transfer, Lewis Warrington arrive on a free transfer, Sean Clare arrive undisclosed from Wigan, Zach Hemming arrive on loan from Middlesbrough, Jamie Donnelly arrive on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, Josh Keeley arrive on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, and Jack Curry arrive on loan from Oxford United. Gents, I'll ask you first, John. What are your thoughts about the transfer window? Those 9 players then, what are your thoughts on them?
I'm not worried. Like when you listen to the interview that Martin and Richie put out, they make it quite clear that the prices, just alone for the goalkeepers, they were mentioning about another club spending that's part of nearly $750,000 on 2 goalkeepers. Well, if that gives you better value for money, then surely that's a better way of going about it, because we've only got so much money to spend, And I think what people forget is as well, when we started, all right, we're going back to when the owners took over, we were in a mess completely, and we've had to come from that, and we've been losing money each year. So they've got to be probably a bit more careful than other clubs might have had to have been. And I think it's a process. I think we will get to that point, but it's going to take us longer because of our starting position.
Okay. Feeling? I mean, you look at that list, right, and you go, Sonny Perkins, we knew him before. Is that really a difficult one to get over the line? No. Charlie Kelman, knew him before. Difficult to get over the line? Probably not. DJ, worked with Richie before. Is that really a hard signing to make? Free transfer? Probably not. Lewis Warrington, don't know anything about him. I don't think we've got any contacts at Everton. Did we probably have to work fairly hard for that one? Maybe, not sure. Sean Clare, undisclosed from Wigan, obviously wanted to move back to London. Obviously played with Pratley and DJ at Charlton. Would that have been hard to go over the line? Not too sure. Zach Hemming, where we've obviously got contacts with having Bryn last season. Not sure. Jamie Donnelly, highly rated. Has he shown it so far? Brutally honest, no. Not really. Yeah. Tottenham is an easy connection these days. We've got a few interconnections. Obviously Dean Brill was at the club. A few others, I think, from our youth that have gone on to work at Tottenham behind the scenes. Is that a really difficult one to get over the line? Not sure. Josh Keeley is obviously Dean Brill's recommending him to us, which is why we've taken him, obviously. And Jack Curry seems like a good deal. Have those players particularly made Orient stronger than what they were? No, I don't think so. Not at this moment in time as I sit here. I mean, compare Hemming and Keeley to Sol Bryn. I think Bryn's probably the stronger out of the three, being brutally honest from what I've seen, but not to say that Hemming won't be as good as Bryn or better than Bryn. Are the players good enough to compete in this league? Not sure. Sean Clare's established League One player. You go, right, Sean Clare, fair enough. Perkins hasn't played this level, not done much. Kalman started the season really well, has gone off the ball in the last 2 games. DJ's been out and about. Warrington's untried, Hemming's untried, Donny's untried, Keeley is untried, and Curry probably suits League One. Have we got too many loans? 6 out of the 9 signings? Yeah. It feels like, for me, it feels like a bit of a short-term policy more than a long-term policy. The policies have obviously changed now where they're going after a younger signing, which is fine if you're going to do that. But if you're going to put youth players on a 2-year deal, there's a risk in that, right? So Ethan Galbraith is a perfect example. Signed him from United in the summer, 2-year deal. Galbraith's contract is up in the summer. He hasn't signed a new contract. We all think he's worth it. We think he's a good player. We're excited. If any League One club worth their salt has got a good scouting system in League One, Galbraith would be on their list to take from Orient. In my eyes, maybe even a Championship club. So what is the policy there? If you're going to sign a 2-year deal, you need to get him signed to a new deal very early this season. So I think Richie said it's to Galbraith.
Yeah.
But if you're Galbraith's agent, you'd be sitting there now going,
sit tight.
Just going to see what's going to happen here because you've lost your first 4 games and I've got bigger clubs sniffing around you.
Yeah.
Don't sign anything just yet and let's see what happens in January.
Yeah, 100%.
Same with Adji.
Yeah.
Same with Adji at all. So
although you'd argue Adji owes us because he was injured for all of last season.
He does, but
and he's not really started this season on fire. Even though we're only 4 games in plus 2.
It's not the way football works now, unfortunately. He does owe us, and so does Jordan Graham. Jordan Graham has.
He's like a new signing this year.
Well, he is, but
played 3 games.
He joined us last summer. He's played like 7 or 8 games. We know his quality, but he's done nothing for
Don't
him.
work like that. No one knows anything in football.
Exactly. So it's a very risky game if you're going to go after these young players on 2-year deals because you could end up losing them for nothing. We've seen that with Smith and Vigouroux, who weren't particularly young players, but we ended up losing them. It seems like the board have gone, all right, we've kind of tried to learn from the Smith and Vigouroux areas where we want to go for a younger player and try and bleed them in and then maybe have them get a high resale value. But if you're going to sell Galbraith in January, which is the only opportunity now to sell him, unless he signs a new contract, you ain't going to get that much for a player who's out of contract.
He's under 24 though, so does the Bosman ruling still apply?
I think it will go to a tribunal, but it won't be much more than what we've got for Real, absolute top. So you're thinking, is that volume of money, because you're looking obviously to bring players on for a resale value, is that worth it? Like in terms of what they're going for?
It might well be a short-term thing, like you said, bearing in mind what we're going up against this season.
Yeah, but look, you can say that, but only 3 teams get out of this division, right? As it stands, you've got Birmingham, who everyone thinks will walk the league, and they probably will based on what we've seen so far. You've got Wrexham, you've got Huddersfield, you've got Rotherham, you've got Peterborough, you've got Bolton, you've got Charlton. That's 7. Only 3 of those 7 can go up, and I've probably missed out 2 or 3 other big clubs as well. To kind of go, this season's going to be difficult, so we're not going to do anything too crazy. You're just kind of not making the problem go away. You're just delaying it for a year. So this time next year, or in the summer, we've got no first-team goalkeeper again.
No.
Because Hemming goes back and Feely goes back. So you're starting from scratch again. Yeah. And if Howes goes, you need 2 keepers to come in already next summer. You go, all right, Kelman is on loan. In the summer,
he goes back.
Adji is out of contract. Galbraith's out of contract. Beckles, I think, might be out of contract.
Yeah.
So already you're thinking, what is the policy to get those players tied down, or what is your policy for next season?
The revolving
I don't
door
think
will
that's
be
been
spinning
fully thought of or explained. Like I hope all those 9 players prove me wrong, and if any listeners to this podcast go, well, screw you, I'm going to show you on the pitch and end up playing the game of their lives. But it just seems that.
I mean, when you got more loan signings, there is more of a risk, obviously, that some might not work out. But I'll go back to what I said before. Most of the loan signings we've bought in have been had a positive impact in the last sort of 2 or 3 years. There's not many that.
Depends on the way you look at it though, John, because for everyone who's positive and is pro-Link, someone's negative and is anti-Link, and for everyone who's come in and done well on loan, like your Brins or your Idrises, there's a Caelan Edwards or a Dan Adu who's taken one of those places and hasn't delivered on what they said they were going to deliver on. So, yeah, we've had Idris, and we're very lucky to have Idris, who was well above the level. We were very lucky with that. Bryn last season I thought was solid as a League One keeper. But this season, you go, we haven't, for all intents and purposes, replaced Idris El Mazouni. For all intents and purposes, Warrington's come in, and the jury's still out on Warrington. I've not seen him play a match yet, so I can't comment on Warrington. But you go, Galbraith's decent, Brown is decent, although Brown's form this season so far has been not great. Hauled off yesterday after 52 minutes and hasn't really done that well so far. I'm sure he'll come out of it. but we just seem to be missing and haven't really replaced those players who left last season or the big influences. That's where the concern is, I think, with a lot of fan base, and that's where I can see their point. Some are really well constructed on social media. Okay, you've made your point well. Some aren't so well constructed, and you go, well, you've kind of negated your point there with what you said. However, if you're sitting there as Martin Ling, is Martin Ling honestly hand on heart going, well, I've delivered an improvement on the squad from where the squad was last year? If Martin Ling believes that, and all right, fair enough, because that's what he believes. Do most fans believe the squad is stronger now? No, I don't think they probably do as they sit here, rightly or wrongly. Where it seems that last season we finished 11th. We had an amazing run. Yes, we've been unlucky with injuries, but that's why you have a big squad. That's why you have the squad to kind of push on and kick on. And when you see Kelman, right, I think Charlie Kelman's been great this season so far. But when he's starting over Dan Adji, who we've spoken about, when Adji's played those 2 games up front, although they've been Carabao Cup games, he's scored and he's delivered. But yet on a league game, the games that matter, Adji's been put on the left or the right.
Yeah, over a lone player.
Over a lone player. And the same argument with Hemming and Feely, who are obviously taking that number 1 and that goalkeeper spot over people like Howes and Phillips and Burns. So it's a difficult one. I hope they've got it right, because if not, I think we could end up in a relegation battle. It's still far too early to say after 4 games, and obviously yesterday was a bit of a gutner and maybe brought us back to earth. But it just feels at the moment that those 9 signings, you look at it, you go, okay, last year Idris came back, and we're like, wow, how have you got Idris back? It's going to be a great season, and kind of he delivered on what he said he was going to deliver. O'Neill came in out of nowhere, and you're like, well, instantly you knew O'Neill was going to be right in this league. Same with Galbraith. Out of those kind of lone players so far, you go, DJ looks alright. I'm not sure of his League One quality. Again, Warrington, I haven't seen him enough. Perkins looks like he's going to be a very bit part player. Donnelly, very highly rated. When all the tweets when Donnelly came, everyone was like, I can't believe you've got him in League One. Yeah. He's going to smash it. Played 3 games, no assists, no goals. Might still be finding his feet. There's obviously a player in there somewhere.
I think that's the thing. Like, when you've got loan signings, they're going to take a little bit of time to gel, aren't they?
But he went straight into the Charlton squad. He did okay at Charlton. It wasn't electrifying by any stretch of imagination, but he's just one player in 11.
Charlton was all over the shop then,
he's meant to be like the player to look out for. So you'd expect him to shine a bit brighter than some of the others, and sort of outplay some of the Charlton and outthink some of the Charlton players, because he's meant to be that next level. But I didn't see that when I was at Charlton. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't watching all his movements and everything, but he did okay. But again, it wasn't I see what people mean.
I think everyone's got to be patient and wait.
Yeah,
like, you get to Christmas and then you can do a proper assessment.
True.
The thing is,
based on how many games.
The only risk with that is, though, if you get to November and we're still kind of down the bottom, that's when people start pressing panic buttons. I don't think our board will have got a panic button, and I definitely don't think they'll be pressing it around the manager. However, if you get to January and you're low, that's when you start making some signings that sometimes aren't thought out very clearly, because you're in such a panic to get people in the building, which is something that Orient haven't done. So they haven't kind of swayed to that kind of...
Well, I wonder what the recall clauses are on these loan deals, whether we can cancel them in January and say, thank you very much, we can't give you the game time, so you might as well, you're better off going back and going out somewhere else on loan. No doubt they'll come back and bite us on the bum, but... I think, have we strengthened? No, I don't think we have particularly. I think in 1 or 2 areas we have, but I think we've filled out the squad. Don't get me wrong, I think Charlie Kelman, from what I've seen of him this season, I think he's looked a lot more dangerous. I thought he looked really good against Charlton. Sonny Perkins, yet to be won over. Lewis Warrington, yet to be won over. I think Sean Clare's probably an upgrade on Rob Hunt. From what I've seen, I mean, he did a dirty challenge against Charlton. That was proper naughty, that one. Jack Curry obviously hasn't played yet to be seen, but he's highly thought of. And again, I still don't understand the Keeley signing. Zach Hemming has not ingratiated himself to the Orient fan base just yet. You said there was a lot of abuse being fired his way.
Yeah.
I think there was another outburst from someone at Shrewsbury as well, who's since been online and apologised.
I saw, yes.
Which was very magnanimous of that person. DJ out for a year, not really done too much. I was expecting something quite exciting from him. I haven't seen anything. I thought him, Jay and Kelman as a front 3, I thought potentially has excitement written all over it. Interchangeable. So one goes as a 9 and then 2, and then they just move around and confuse the back 4 and interchange and play quite cleverly. Haven't seen anything like that at the moment.
And another thing, sorry to get off there, having Donnelly in that team seems to have displaced Ollie O'Neill a little bit as well. So O'Neill hasn't looked the same player that he looked toward like last season. So O'Neill looks a bit lost. And again, because he's playing differently with Kelman and Donnelly in. So again, you're risking the development of your own player to bring in players again
Agree.
on loan. So you just think
It's an imbalance in the squad, yeah. Absolutely. And I hope that Spurs haven't said we'll only lend him to you if he gets X amount of 70 minutes a game or 60 minutes a game, whatever it is on average over the course of time. I hope that's not the case because I wouldn't bother taking someone.
Yeah, I'd like to think that I wouldn't have taken him if that was the case.
Bear in mind, you've also got Jordan Graham to come back,
Yeah.
which hopefully will be soon. But again,
Theo in
it keeps
4
going
months.
quiet on the Graham trail. Theo, hopefully he's ahead of schedule, so hopefully at some point he comes back soon. When all those players are fit, you've got a nice little selection dilemma there. But then, when they are fit, if you see players like Donnelly in over players like Graham or Archibald or O'Neill, you'll be sitting there going,
bit of a head
why?
scratch. And they're not performing. Different story.
Unless they
start
start performing.
Yeah, different story. I'm a bit half empty about this, to be honest. Overall, I'm not overly happy, to be honest with you. I think I've said it before, too many loans, not enough perms leads to that kind of revolving door that you were talking about earlier, where all of a sudden this time next year you'd be talking about, or in April, May next year, you're going to be talking about we've now got 6 players that are going back to their clubs, and we've got massive gaps. We've got players out of contract, probably another 6 or 7 out of contract. That's 13 that you're going to need to potentially, 12, 13 that you're going to need to bring in. It doesn't help us from a continuity perspective, which is something that Ken and Nigel have both spoken about, and Martin have spoken about in the past, is about having those 2 or 3 year contracts and people on longer term deals. Jack Simpson signed with us. He'll be, I think, out next year as well. Interesting how they've done it this season, and regardless of our budget, much has been made about Lynn's board with the names on it and the first, second, third, fourth and fifth choice and all the explanations how it works. But in my opinion, I don't feel it's yielding us the best results this season. We're talking to players that are then suddenly going to other clubs who are being paid 50% more than what we're able to offer. Ruel was offered £1,000, £2,000 more a week than what we were able to offer him. And he's gone and chased a pound note. All right, fair enough. He's a young man. He's got to earn as much as he can because his career is very, very short. I completely understand that. Like Matt Porter said on our podcast, there's a lot of thought goes into the decision, relocation, money, contract length, all sorts of different things come into play. We did some of our business early on with a few more signings sprinkled throughout the rest of the window, which I thought was good. We got a few early doors, went to Spain, got them in for pre-season, but I don't feel Richie's able to, use we're too young, we're too inexperienced, all these kind of, rationales that he said before, because he's obviously signed off on these players now. He could have turned around and said, no, I don't want them, and gone with what he's got, but he hasn't. He could say no to these signings. Too young, too inexperienced, I need more experience, 2 less loan signings, put that money towards a perm, could be winner chicken dinner, but we just won't know. We just won't know, and that's it. We sit here talk. If we'd have won our last 3 games, it'd be very different, and all these players performing different kettle of fish. Fact of the matter is, we're not.
No, and that's a good point, because people can easily turn around and go, well, had it not been for Hemmings' mistakes, you'd have 4 more points. However, Hemmings made those mistakes and those 4 points that we don't have. So in an alternate reality, yeah, we're sitting here going, it's not a bad start to the season. We've got a nice little squad there. We've got 4 points on the board, nothing to be worried about.
Exciting young prospects from other clubs, lovely.
However, we sit here tonight with a hugely divided fan base about the transfer policy that seems to be a new policy that has come in. No points from 4 league games, which is always going to be a tough ask, right? And I think someone made a point that this time last season we'd only taken 1 point out of the opening 4 games, so we're not really that much worse off than what we were this time last season. 2 first 10. However, there's nothing to say that we're going to go on that same run that we went on from the 23rd of December, where we had that amazing run
when we lost 3-2
and we started pushing for the playoffs.
At Bolton, we scored 2 goals in the second half, and from that second half onwards, we didn't lose until February or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here tonight thinking we're going to go down, but what I will clearly say is it's slightly a dangerous policy to be having the kind of mindset that it looks like we're having at the moment, where Richie's saying you need more experience, and you go out and sign a 17-year-old keeper,
regardless of him playing
and in a fairly decent left back.
Ling said, didn't he? We have taken a little bit of a gamble. That was his words. He said, we have taken a bit of a gamble.
But it's going to cost them more money and more of a gamble if we get to this point in January where we do find ourselves maybe looking over our shoulders, looking down, because that's when you will be exploited and where you start and have to dip your foot into waters where you are going to spend money to bring players
It's
quality.
obviously a calculated risk, isn't it?
Of course it is.
You know what I mean? So
As much as it can be in football.
yeah, I mean, Exeter beat Bolton, didn't they? So.
Anyone
can be
crazy
anyone.
league. Anyone can be anyone
On their day, absolutely.
All right, lots of views on the transfer window that we've seen over the last couple of days.
Well, one quick final point on that. Like, we've had money come in for Max Sanders. We had money come in for Royal Sotirio. Granted, the club have taken significant losses, and if Nigel doesn't want to fund, because it seems that Kent has taken, or appears to have taken, a bit of a step back in things. So if Nigel is the only one funding it through his own means, I completely understand that he wants to reduce those losses. We need to be more sustainable. Completely on board with that. And I would completely understand if whatever fees, if money actually changed hands to any degree, that he would maybe want to recoup some of the £4 million that he's laid out. Even in the last season, he's lost tens of millions of pounds already of his own personal money. But if not, and he's happy to leave that in the club, and that's money that we can then generate on players, what's that been spent on?
Yeah, I guess it's just a bit of missing clarity, isn't it? That maybe
Yeah,
maybe fans go, well, we got a certain amount. No, they don't have to, but it's whenever Nigel's had the opportunity for clarity, he's always kind of taken it up. And Marshall Taylor's been quite vocal this weekend on Twitter. Fair play to him as well, because again, he doesn't have to be answering those questions that are coming into it, but he seems to be kind of the only one on the board who wants to kind of talk to fans on social. Again, you can only, maybe whether you agree with what Marshall's saying or you don't, I think you can only commend him for going on Twitter and facing that. So I think there's some credit there. But I think there's a few questions that fans are asking, especially around kind of those fees, the Royal Sotirio fee in particular, and saying, well, have you invested this back in the squad? And yeah, if they haven't, then that's completely fair enough, because they put in millions of pounds on their own money.
Yeah.
But I just think they maybe need to be a bit more transparent at points.
They're definitely just looking like there definitely seems to be in the whole league a lot more loan signings this year.
Oh yeah, look, if you get your loan signings right,
84 players in League One are on loan, and we're the highest, joint with Cambridge and Wigan and Shrewsbury.
That probably tells you what you need to know, right? Cambridge United down the bottom. When we looked at the league table earlier, Shrewsbury only got 3 points.
And then you've got Northampton, Bristol Rovers and Wickham have got 5 players.
Yeah, there's a lot of loan.
In Birmingham, we've got 4.
Interesting points. Many points made, but let us know yours if you haven't. I mean, we've got a lot of tweets to read after Shrewsbury, which do allude to the transfer policy, so I'm sure we'll end up back on it at some point. All right, Saturday, the 31st of August, the under-15s and under-16s were crowned as the Son Memorial Youth Tournament champions. They beat Linfield 4-2 in the final, with the winning goals coming in stoppage time. Well done to the under-15s and 16s. Amazing result.
Tremendous result. The youth team were in action at home to Forest Green Rovers also on Saturday in the morning. The team lined up as follows: Norman, Duty, Anderson, O'Keefe, Archibald, Hajini, Sterling, Carter, Oji, Mohammed and Samuel, with substitutes were named as Northwood, Pike, Okafor, Wright, Hanbury, Nsang and Knight.
Alright, the Youngos went 1-0 down in the 9th minute, but weren't behind for long, as in the 28th minute a powerful strike from Uko Oji from outside the box levelled the scores, and the Youngos took the lead in the 43rd minute as Aaron Sterling's effort was parried into the path of Divine Samuel. He made no mistake, he made it 2-1, which is how the teams went in at half time.
In the 58th minute, Eddie Wright replaced Abdi Mohammed, and in the 65th minute, Dan Carter made it 3-1 to the Young O's. Uko Oji completed the scoring with his second of the game as the O's ran out 4-1 winners to make it 4 wins out of 4. Perfect start for the Young O's, so well done to them.
Superb. But the main event on Saturday, as you all know, was Shrewsbury Town away. And before the game, we ran a Twitter poll to find out how you thought the O's would get on this one. We had 409 votes, so not bad at all there. You voted as follows. We were only 5% of those votes thinking that Orient would lose the game. 13% of you thinking O's would draw. And an overwhelming and staggering 82% of those fans thinking that we would win. As always, thanks for your votes.
On that, yeah, absolutely. 2 o'clock, the team was announced with Hemming in goal, Clare, Cooper, Happy and Sweeney across the back, Brown, Galbraith, Donnelly across the middle, and O'Neill, Ajay and Kelman up top, with Howes, Beckles, Pratley, Warrington, Obiero, DJ and Perkins on the bench.
John, what are your thoughts when you saw that team announced at 2 o'clock?
I just felt that Beckles probably a little bit unlucky with how he played in previous games, not to get a shout.
It's the Omar Beckles derby, for God's sake, isn't it? Isn't it Shrewsbury? Should have forgotten. The Omar Beckles derby.
Yeah.
Good point, though. Beckles didn't put a foot wrong.
Against Millwall.
That
probably had the game of his life for us.
Well,
arguably.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit here in hindsight, right? Obviously, we know the result and go, should Beckles have been dropped? But good point there. A bit harsh on Beckles.
Yeah, other than that, I think it was
As you'd
pretty
expect.
straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was glad to see Adji back in the starting lineup. Obviously, was dropped for the Birmingham game, came off the bench, looked lively on the left, done well. So he obviously came in there. It's good to see him back. Surprised to see Obiero benched. Got to say, Obiero has won. Probably he's looked the best in the central midfield. Surprised to see him on the bench, although he's played a lot of football for a young man, but surprised to see him on the bench for this one. I was surprised not to see any loan signings. I don't know. Dave Victor said they were unavailable, so I presume we missed the cut-off point to get them registered in time.
12 o'clock on Friday, I think.
So I think we missed the cut-off point. So I was surprised by that. I thought they might have made it, because sometimes they announce the signings well after they've signed them.
True.
So surprised at that one. And also, what happened to Tom James again? Now, he was in the team against Millwall, kept the clean sheet, and he's completely out of the squad. Bear in mind that Richie has slated him this season, dropped him. And also bear in mind, he's just on a 2-year deal in the summer. So I don't think they've asked a question. So last week we presumed he was injured, but it turns out he wasn't. He'd just been completely dropped from the Birmingham City squad. So interesting there to see what the situation with Tom James is.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think everything you make there, both of you, have made good points. Obiero not in the squad. Good to see that Ajay is back in the squad. And it'd be interesting, great point, John, about Beckles not keeping his spot in the side. I don't know what they see in the other side, the Shrewsbury side, that means that he shouldn't be in there. He as much as I'm not a big fan of, as a human being, a fantastic human being from what I'm led to believe, but as a footballer, I'm not as keen. But I think having done so well against Millwall, I think he probably I think it is a bit harsh. He probably did deserve to retain it, and probably that older, more experienced, that calmness that he brings to the back four that's been well spoken about in the past probably wouldn't have been a bad thing against Shrewsbury.
Yeah, that's a good point.
His strengths, aren't they? He's in the air and he's tackling and intercepting. He's not so good with his passing always, but like those his real strong points, I think that would have worked better against.
I guess at some point he's lucky to even be in the squad, right? Because Jack Simpson was on the bench against Millwall, so you imagine Simpson's probably fit now and ready to go. But obviously Beckles has maintained his place on the bench, and Cooper and Happy have been named as first choice centre backs. All right, we had a few tweets when that team was announced. Houghton 19 said, "No doubt we are bound by certain clauses from Spurs to play Donnelly, but so far he's done nothing to suggest he should be starting over Obiero."
Yeah, agree. Alan Reeves too said, "No surprises, rubbish bench other than Obiero."
Len Shinshin 1 said, "Battle for points at bottom of the table, Shrewsbury, and expecting a physical game with lots of chances. Must avoid bad mistakes around our defence. Need energetic, clinical attacks going forward with slick passing. New signings not available, but a strong starting lineup for the O's."
Yeah, the match kicked off in sunny Shropshire with both teams looking for their first points of the season in the Omar Beckles derby, and we'll kick on in the 5th minute with an Ollie O'Neill cross deflected to Jordan Brown. His effort went well wide from outside the area though.
It did. 12th minute, nice moment as crowd Meadow came together to applause and remember the late Jimmy McLaughlin, who played 340 games for Shrewsbury and he scored 100 goals. So nice to see that happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, in the 22nd minute, Lloyd brought a long ball clearance from his own defender down really well. O'Reilly then played a weighted through ball through our defence into the path of the onrushing Leo Castledine, who was making his debut. He finished past Hemming to give the hosts a lead. Good thoughts on that goal?
Good move from them. They played it well, completely took out our pass and flat-footed our defence with that pass. Good finish. I mean, Happy was in no man's land. Happy's completely in loads of space by himself, so his mark has gone off him, but obviously Castledine has just run behind Jordan Brown and got ahead of him. Good finish there. I mean, whatever your thoughts on Hemming, I don't think anyone can blame Hemming for that one. He's finished well past there. And 22 minutes into his debut, a loan signing from Chelsea.
Yep.
Nonetheless, scores. Again, I haven't heard of Castledine until yesterday. I wouldn't have expected to, but again, you can use the loan market if you're getting the right players in the right system at the right time to do so. And it seems like Castledine for Shrewsbury, 22 minutes into his debut, has done that.
Don't get us wrong though, he may have peaked in that game. He may do nothing for the rest of his loan spell other than that. But what he's done in that game, he's got 3 points for his team, which was desperately needed.
Well, he's made an impact, which at the moment is more than the loan signing, the outfield player loan signings
that we've got.
Have done yesterday, although Kelman aside, he's obviously got 2 goals this season.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good move from them, to be honest, but because of our poor defending for that, we allowed their movement to happen without tracking their runners. that's then allowed that to make
Oh,
it look like it's
they
better
had so
than it
much
is.
space.
Yeah, all the time.
Far too much space in
Yeah.
front of our back four.
Yeah.
Yeah, so went 1-0 behind there. 34th minute then we'll skip to. Ethan Galbraith had an effort from distance that Savin dealt with.
And 3 minutes later, a long cross from the left found its way to Dan Ajay on the right, who was in acres of space. He cut inside, his curling effort hit the crossbar and away for a goal kick with Savin well beaten.
Thought he'd done well there, Dan.
Brilliant
Hit it
effort.
lovely. Keeper's getting nowhere near it. Again, on another day, or last season maybe at certain points, that hits the bar and goes in. When your luck's in, when your luck's out, it's the bar and goes out for a goal.
3 inches
Typical.
lower and that's a top bins goal.
Typical.
Yeah.
It's been fine margins in every game.
course it
You know,
has.
that could have changed the
That would
game.
have changed the game. That would have been, we'd have gone in 1-1 at half time and a little bit more impetus. 1 additional minute of time was played and the half time whistle went with the O's going in 1-0 down.
It certainly did. Attendance announced at 5,602 with 450 brave O's fans making the journey.
Indeed, they did, and well done to them. The second half kicked off, no subs for the O's. In the 49th minute, Omar Beckles replaced Dan Happy, and further subs followed in the 52nd minute as DJ and Darren Prattley came on for Ollie O'Neill and Jordan Brown.
Yeah, quite early subs there for Richie. I know Happy
Yeah.
maybe, I think he alluded
A bit of a
to
knock.
kind of Happy carrying maybe an injury, but very interesting. The 52nd minute whips off Ollie O'Neill and Jordan Brown. We spoke about Ollie O'Neill, hasn't been the same player, had the same impact this season, maybe been played slightly differently in the side this season. And Jordan Brown, seemed to struggle yesterday. It was obviously his man for the first goal, Castledine, who ran off him. So, interesting to see Richie kind of whip them off so early in the second half. In the 55th minute, Ozek Hemming was called into action. He done well as he tipped over a shot from O'Reilly, who had cut inside from the right-hand side. That was a good save from Hemming. I think, we've called him out when he's made mistakes, but I've got to say, decent save there. And again, would have done his confidence no harm at all.
Absolutely. 62nd minute, Jaden Sweeney picked up a booking.
Yeah, we're going to skip forward now to the 79th minute. Sonny Perkins came on for Jaden Sweeney.
And in the 82nd minute, the hosts doubled their lead as Tommy Bloxham received the ball from at least 30 yards out, spun round Ethan Galbraith, launched an outrageous effort into the top bins to give Hemming no chance, and that made it 2-0.
Guys,
Won't do that again, will he?
The guy has just scored an absolute worldie. I mean, if you're going to be uber critical, you can say Galbraith should have maybe got closer to him.
100%.
He's beat Galbraith far too easily, but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the ground is expecting that guy to smash it into the top corner.
No.
And even that guy sat down and done like a little game joystick thing,
yeah.
like a FIFA, like how on earth have I just scored that into the top bins? Only scored 2 goals last season, and he's about to get another one later in the game to equal his goal
He's
season.
literally
last
doubled
tally.
it. Yeah, equalled his tally, yeah.
But when that happens, you just got to say, fair play, good goal.
That reminded me of the Joe Widdowson right foot in the top corner.
It's a good shout.
Great
4 additional
finish.
minutes then.
Yeah, it went up on the board. Things went from bad to worse for the O's. In the 94th minute, Shrewsbury made it 3-0. A long ball from the back from the O's was intercepted. Ball flicked up, and Omar Beckles lost the battle with his man, who flicked his header into the path of Tony Bloxham again. He was in acres of space, drove forward into the box, and placed his shot into the far corner to make it 3-0 and to still a really rubbish game. I mean, he had the whole gift of Crowd Meadow, could have taken his time.
Absolutely.
What
Victims of
happened?
our own making.
I mean,
Poor cross.
We praised Beckles for his defending on Tuesday, but he's so outmuscled there by his man. It's
He didn't even
embarrassing.
jump.
It's embarrassing.
No, he didn't jump.
It's like Lewis Dunk from Saturday when he goes up against Saka. Saka's like 5'2" or something. Dunk 6'5", and Saka beats him like easily. It's like Beckles doesn't even get off the air.
No, it didn't get his feet
And then
off the
Bloxham's
ground.
got so much time again.
Yeah.
Hemming has conceded 3 goals. All those goals, I don't think he's had any chance with any of them. I think the first goal was a good finish past him. I think the second goal was a worldie. And I think the third, he's literally no defenders anywhere near him, and the guy's just hit into the far corner. So, really disappointing. And it's something we haven't seen in the Richie Wellens team. By that point, they just look deflated and they just want to get off the pitch. Not something that we've seen before.
No, they couldn't wait to get off the pitch, you could tell. I mean, that was from our own port. It was a poor crossfield pass out from the back. I think it was Brandon Cooper, I'm not sure. Beckles read it well initially, but then he doesn't win the second ball, he doesn't win the battle to get the header. His man does, and he heads it into Bloxham's path, who for some reason, inexplicably, is in acres of space. Like, where's the marking on him? Why is their striker allowed all that time and all that space? Criminal defending, and not much more Hemming could have really done. I mean, the keeper's not, from an odds-on perspective, the keeper's not expected to save that. If he does, then it's lucky, and the striker will be castigated for it. But yeah, awful. That's our own fault.
Oh, completely.
Our own fault.
We're probably throwing people forward then and they're trying to do something right at the end, I suppose, aren't we?
Yeah, but 2-0 down in the 95th minute, you'd probably be... Yeah, maybe we are.
Poor, very poor. The full-time whistle win shortly after, as the hosts picked up their first points of the season to leave the shell-shocked O's with 4 defeats in 4 games in League One. So we're going to play a short snippet of Richie Wellens' post-match interview with Dave Victor. So here's what Richie had to say.
Richie, thanks for joining us. What's your assessment on today?
I think since I've been at the club, it's the worst performance overall. Credit to them because they dug in, they fought, they played with intensity, they pressed. In the first half, we've had 75% possession of the ball, but no crosses, too slow, too lethargic. And I warned the players before the game. I said, we've been brilliant against Birmingham, Bolton, Charlton. Even though we've lost, we've done a lot of things well. Don't now think, and this is no disrespect to Shrewsbury, it's a game that we thought we could win today, and we've come in and don't forget the basics, and we just completely forgot the basics. Too many straight passes, too slow. The first half we're screaming at our back four from goal kicks to get 10 yards higher to win a header, so the team is more compact and we're 10 yards higher, but we don't, we stay deep. And we asked Brownie to go with the header with the striker. We lose it. There's too many space around him, and we lose the second ball. And we was just really, really poor. I want to say 2 things. I want to apologise to the supporters because that is not acceptable. But also thank him because he clapped the players at the end of the pitch, and he didn't deserve. I didn't deserve to be clapped. The staff and we didn't deserve to be clapped after that performance. Slow, lethargic. Came here with the wrong mentality, thinking we'd dominate the ball and it would be easy, and it's just not like that. So yeah, credit to Shrewsbury because they deserved the win, but for us, I'm not sure what the possession stats, and we're just getting areas and overhit crosses, poor delivery, poor decision making. We make a change at half time because I think Dan App's injured. We change the shape. We don't pass the ball, we don't play with intensity, so it's really difficult to get an idea of how the game's going to go when you don't win duels and you don't pass the ball quick enough, because they were good at shifting and getting into shape, and it was aggressive. But yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, it's the worst that we've played in just over 2.5 years.
So clearly unhappy Richie Wellens there talking to Dave Victor. The entire interview is on the club's YouTube channel. Well worth listening if you haven't done so. So we're not going to go through the league table yet, but unsurprisingly, with 0 points, we find ourselves bottom of League One. So bearded legend, it's lovely to have you back in the UK, but I thought and hoped we'd be talking under happier circumstances.
Yeah.
Some of your views of that full-time whistle win.
Yeah, look, I was hoping to be coming back and talking about 2 wins this week, which we haven't done
almost
this season. Just the 1 win. Look, one to chalk off and move on from. There's no point dwelling on it. It's done now. We can't change it. Everyone had an off day, which is unusual for some of our players because you'd expect not everyone to have an off day. Galbraith had an off day. Brown's had an off day. Beckles and Cooper, given he'd had a good game against the strong Millwall side, really can't put my finger on why that's gone that way, to be honest with you. For once, Hemming doesn't get picked out as the worst performer, which I think is a real positive. Yeah. You know, the goals weren't his fault. The big question for me is, why did everyone have such an off day? It can't be fatigue yet. It's only the 4th game in the league. Several of these players, like Richie goes on to say later on in that interview, that several were rested against Millwall to give them that space and time and rest to be able to be fit and strong for Saturday. So should they have played then against Millwall so that they then didn't have that and they had that continuity? Were the tactics right? Were the players played in their favourite or most favoured or most effective positions? Would love to know what the explanation is to why we were absolutely terrible across the pitch. Across the pitch, 75% possession and 1 shot on target, 1 shot a goal. Something ridiculously low. And it's only the 4th game in, so look, I'm not too worried yet, but obviously would like to have beaten a team who have made 15 signings this summer themselves and really need to be beating teams like that if we're to stand a chance and get ourselves further up the league, like the Wickhams and the Nottingham, the Northamptons and that ilk, and the Lincolns and so on. So look, it's only the fourth league game in. There's like you said earlier, John. There's a lot of time to turn things around. You know, the January transfer window now is something that they'll be looking on, I would imagine now, and working on that side of things now. But Yeah, look, it's not great. Let's be honest. I don't seem to be particularly positive at the moment. But then we're talking about we're talking 4 losses, 4 losses in the transfer window that I don't think we've done particularly great at.
Yeah, I think it'd be dishonest to us as a podcast to kind of sit here going everything's rosy. I think we'd won our last 7 in a row against Shrewsbury, so it's a game that we normally have a banker on. Obviously, we beat them in the last away game in the season. Season just gone quite comfortably 3-1, and then we beat them at home last season 1-0 quite comfortably. So it's a team we took 6 points from last season, and they've beat us fairly straightforwardly yesterday. What were your views on that?
I don't think they'd won at home since March, so it was always going to be us.
Always that team. Just invite Orient to
exactly.
We'll help you.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I agree with most of what you said, to be honest with you. But I think we went there with the wrong attitude, like thinking that we were going to beat them comfortably. We were far too slow in our build-up play, hence why we had so much possession and created absolutely nothing really. So I think it's just got to put that one down to a bad day, and hopefully we can move on and get something in the next game. But I think he'll actually play quite a strong team on Tuesday now, because they probably need a bit of confidence.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a bit of a rocket launched by Mr. Willens. I'd imagine I would have been in today. So yeah, my views on it. I thought it would be harder than most fans were expecting. So when obviously we've gone through the Twitter poll and 82% of fans thought we'd win that game. I thought it'd be harder than we were expecting, but I didn't see a 3-0 defeat coming. No. I mean, they've cherry-coated it with the final goal at the last minute, and the guy scored a worldie, which kind of puts it a different perspective on it at that point. But I mean, all 3 goals that we've been through. First one, Brand doesn't track his run, and the second one, Galbraith gets nowhere near him, and the third one, Beckwith doesn't do well enough, and the guy's in acres of space, so all easily preventable. But I will say fair play to Richie for owning it. He knows what he's got to do. He could have hid behind,
blamed all the players.
He could have blamed all the players. He could have said, "Oh, actually, the board have gone for these players, and my hands are tied." And he hasn't kind of done any of that. He's been very positive in the way he's spoken about Martin and his relationship with the board. So he hasn't made any excuses. So I can only commend him on that one. Shame we're not playing on Saturday, because I actually think it would have been a good to get out there as soon as possible. Works into your point. I think Tuesday there might be a few first teamers who we don't expect to see playing for their places.
I agree.
Playing for their
particularly as there's not a game to play on Saturday.
Exactly. Yeah. So really disappointing result. So obviously we knew we were going to get a load of views on Twitter. We obviously did loads of views. All with good points. Thanks to everyone who sent their views into us. Tyler Osborne 04 said was really confident we'd come. Play well with pressure and breeze past him to put the Warriors' heart rates down. Thought it was just a tough start against the stronger teams, but now recruitment hasn't been good enough, and I'm starting to get a bit shaky.
Hutley Thomas said, "I'm trying to keep in mind last year's problems at the start, turning good, trying, but a loss like this is too concerning to try to sugarcoat."
East London DC said, "I didn't see this on the cards. Absolutely shocking performance, tactically all wrong right from the start, and the players look sluggish. Sweeney being so high up creates far too much space and leads to pointless running around." I guess with Curry, who has spoken about kind of utilising himself as further forward, maybe Curry is just a missing part of the puzzle in terms of the balance and the team. I guess we'll see. Only time will tell.
But then if they know Sweeney goes up, then someone needs to sit back and cover that space that's created off the back of him going up. Ian Davey 52685229 said, "Total embarrassment, 74% possession, 1 shot on goal. Outplayed from the opening whistle. Need to hang their heads in shame today. Lacked cohesion and teamwork. Far too many mistakes. Lack of energy and fight."
Doyle_Hooper said at the start of the season the squad is weaker than last year. Can't think of any area from keeper to attack that has improved. So we are where we are. Consistently changing the starting 11 can't help. Hopefully Richie can find a settled team soon and work his magic. And that is a good point. I think we mentioned that on last week's show, where someone had tweeted saying we don't think, or that someone who tweeted said, "I don't think Richie's found his starting 11 yet," which I kind of agree with. He's not had a chance to play Simpson yet. He's got Donnelly in, where Donnelly hasn't really been effective yet, but obviously there's a player in there somewhere. You've obviously got Kelman as a 9, but should Adji be your 9? And if Adji's going to be a 9, where does Kelman go to kind of do that? He obviously wants to play Kelman and Adji together, but you can only have one number 9 for all intents and purposes. So I think that's a good point. I still don't think Richie knows his strongest 11. I don't think he will do for a good couple of weeks.
No, not until Graham and Simpson come back, and then obviously Theo. So it probably might not even be, depending on injuries that we pick up, it might not even be until January, when Theo's back, that he's got a full squad to choose from, that he'll know his best 11.
Yeah, when Theo comes back, it's going to take a long time to get up to speed as well.
That's
so
also true.
That's also true.
Yeah,
I think good point there.
Orient_Ed said, outthought and outworked by a Shrewsbury team who wanted it much more than we did. Misplaced passes galore, keeper not tested and no intensity. The only positive is that Hemming is starting to look a little bit more comfortable. A long and difficult season lies ahead.
Yeah, our South Stand chum there, Ed. One Adam C said, let's not sugarcoat this. The strategy of bringing in kid loans, untested keepers and cheap options has been unmitigated disaster. And now there's nothing can be done until January. Poor Richie deserves so much better than this.
Daniel_D44 said, it sounds like we were garbage. I have faith in Wellens and I think we do have some good players, but there is not a good balance between youth and experience. I get the reasons why we have so many loan players, but I can't see a cohesion in the squad, though it is early days.
That's a very good tweet. I do like that one. Good points there. Orient Meat Pie said that was a disgusting performance and highlights what happens when you force an ambitious manager to shop in the bargain bin. I don't give it long before he's off. In his interview yesterday, it's clear he's resigned to nothing changing. He's given up fighting, and it showed.
Yeah, Nigel Ladd White said, we lost the game in the middle of the park. Again, Wellens picked another imbalanced midfield. Galbraith and Donnelly and Obiero are all 10s, not 8s. Only one should start alongside Warrington, Brown or Pratley. Galbraith not strong enough in the challenge for 2 of their goals.
Good points there. I mean, can you have Galbraith and Donnelly and Obiero all in the same starting 11 if they all play the same position? Yeah, good point.
Nigel,
yeah,
no.
Matty, LFC Evans said if the product isn't decent, fans won't spend money and the board want us to spend. Investment has been everywhere, but the squad, and it shows, board have to shoulder the blame except mistakes have been made. And if we are in the drop zone by the end of October, we are in trouble.
Casey Adams, LOFC, said, today was the first time this season that we've been played where we've played a side not expected to be in the top 6 and we got hammered 3-0. Thought Tuesday was a turning point. No positives from today whatsoever. Burton Albion, Stevenage, Northampton and Exeter, all similar sized clubs as us, and all of them have brought in experienced players. We have brought in kids for the future. The learning on the job is the total opposite of what we needed.
Good points there from Casey. Well articulated there, Casey. Glenn Gatty said we seem to have gone backwards and not forward, like most of our passing since the end of last season. Having 70% plus possession is meaningless if you can't put the ball into the back of the net.
Tommy Atkinson 6 said, it's the hope that kills you. To play all right against bigger teams but get nothing, win your cup games and then go and get well beaten by a team in the opposite category is just woeful. It makes it hard to see any positives.
I think we're also kind of positive after like beating Millwall away, playing fairly well against Birmingham, nice draw away to Brentford. Everyone's like...
It's going too well.
Everyone's got a bit of a jolly on. Going to Shrewsbury, you're going to smash them. And then you just get absolutely hammered and lose the game 3-0. And obviously with that transfer deadline the day after that as well, it does feel a bit deflating. Boggs Dollocks 1 said outfought by a very limited Shrewsbury, who deservedly got the points. About time some players started living up to their reputation.
James Eastwood 83 said, genuinely disgusted with that performance. No attacking mentality and again gifting goals. It's going to be a hard season now that we've not recruited well enough, and you could see that in the MF
midfield, I think.
In the midfield especially, thank you. Pratley must be thinking he may have to play the whole season now.
Darren Pratley. Tom D. Simmons _Tom said, no excuses. I can forgive players making a mistake or having an off day, but at the very least they should be going at the game full tilt and competing. Too many passengers, and it seems to me the club has become complacent and is too ready to settle for the ordinary.
Our Coral 1972 said, people can moan about the board and the loans and transfers, and rightly so, but Wellens signed off on them, so he has to take his share of the blame. Could quite easily have said, no, I don't want them.
Alluding to what your point was earlier in the podcast. Boaty said, I wasn't going to comment it until having watched the highlights back. That is the worst performance under Richie. I am pleased Richie has owned it, and the only good news is we have a few weeks to work on the basics. Still not panicking after 4 games, but we must improve quick. Now Ben, I know Ben, and obviously he was disappointed by that performance, but congratulations Ben on getting your Oasis tickets for Edinburgh. You're one of the only people I know who got tickets, so well played to Ben. Hope that kind of sweetened your day a little bit.
Yeah, Richie J. Bourne said, travelling back after watching the performance, that was a waste of money. You pick your games due to expense, credit to the week in, week out fans, but that was disheartening. No leaders out there till Prats came on who looked miles more committed than the rest.
I mean, that should never be the case, right? You should never have someone coming on who looks miles more. They should all be at least playing for the show. I think we've said that numerous times in the pod. Don't mind losing, right? Because we're Orient, but if you lose and you've given it 100% in fair play, if you lose and you should have given it your all, and that's the most disappointing part there.
Agree.
Penultimate tweet coming from a new Twitter handle. I mean, never on Sundays. Said, was it that bad? Well, yes. Will it improve? Again, yes. All our fans keep complaining about underinvestment. Well, can you get blood out of a stone? But keep the faith. We will have a good season. We took 1 point from the first 4 last year, and we had a playoff tilt.
Yeah, final word this week, which I think is a new Twitter handle to me. Strudelhofer said, we need to remain calm Our finishing position last year was far better than anyone should have expected with the same manager, board and Ling. Yes, it's a bad start, but things will hopefully improve, and staying up or mid-table this season will be a good achievement.
Lots of tweets, lots of views out one. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any that have been read out. You can do that by tweeting us at Orient Outlook, or you can email us at orientoutlook@outlook.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Orient Outlook Podcast, or you can find us on Instagram at Orient_Outlook_podcast.
Indeed. So the prediction league, no correct predictions, unsurprisingly.
I
for
don't
this
think
match.
any predictions had us to lose the game. I mean, I think there was about 120, 130 predictions. Like, there were lots of 3-0 Orients. There wasn't anyone.
3-0.
There was maybe
No,
a few
I'm not
few draw predictions. I don't think anyone out of all those tweets had us to actually lose the game. And again, just shows you.
On the back of Tuesday's result.
Yeah, absolutely. You put in the positive vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, but also the fact that we actually haven't played badly against big teams, and we go to this lot and we don't even bother turning up. So the prediction league currently stands with Ben__Linton on 8 points. He's top. Theo Archibald in his second on 6 points, and collectively on 4 points is Rich Denham, Theo the Wyvern, and Tyler Osborne 04. So thanks to everyone who sent their predictions in prior to that.
Absolutely. All right, Sunday the 1st of September, as we record, the ladies played a behind closed doors friendly as their original opponents, Chesham, were unable to fulfil their FA Cup fixture. And as a result of this, the ladies have got a bye to the second round of the Women's FA Cup, with the second qualifying round match being played on Sunday the 22nd of September. And a week later, on Sunday 29th of September, the Ladies League campaign kicks off, and they'll be playing in the Greater London Women's Football League Premier Division this season. So at 1 hour, 25 seconds and 54 seconds, 25 minutes, 56 seconds, let's wrap up this bad boy.
So, yeah, fantasy football update. Well done, Louis Fern, who's top of the Orient Outlook podcast Fantasy Football League. He's on 227 points. Just ahead of Jordan Angus in second on 226 points. Very tight at the top there. Steve is 95th out of 300.
That.
Please keep that. Jay Minns leads the Orient Outlook podcast. EFL, I keep forgetting to do it. Fantasy Football League. He's on 236 points, just ahead of T. Archibald on 230 points in second place. Yeah. I don't think it is. Steve's about halfway, 20th out of 39 players.
Well, I think I said on last week's podcast, my team didn't save last week. It's a rubbish app. They really need to invest in the app. Like, my team didn't save, so I took nothing last week. It was a difficult
I've done
week.
Nothing in 4 games, so you're ahead of me.
So positives and negatives. John, we always let our guests do the positives and negatives of the week. I'll let you do the positives.
Yeah, obviously, like winning against Millwall and getting through to the third round and getting the draw against Brentford.
Yep.
And obviously the youth team, great start to the season as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be overly optimistic, Richie Wellens didn't get a yellow card for the first time in a league game. So clutching. Yeah. All right, negatives. All right. Guess we'll do one each. 4 losses in the league is our first negative.
Yeah. Obviously, we didn't score against Shrewsbury and we conceded 3 goals. And then finally, much of the fan base feeling negative about firstly our transfer business, and also obviously results on the pitch.
Yeah, all right. So hero of the week then. So we're not going to give it to the youth team because I think we've already done that this season, but they're definitely worth a mention.
Yeah.
1 at the weekend. They're 4 from 4. So our heroes of the week, and there are 405 of them are
the fans who travelled to Shrewsbury, all 450 of them.
I thought you were going to say the Shrewsbury fans. It's going to go, hang on a minute.
All the fans who travelled, I nearly did actually. All the fans who all the Orient fans who travelled over to Shrewsbury. That's a long journey. It's a long day.
It's an hard place to get to.
It is.
It's not round the corner.
It's not near the station. I think it's like a 4-mile walk from the station.
Is it
I
really?
think so. Yeah, it's not too close. All right, next week's fixtures in. Just the one fixture coming up next week. We face Arsenal under 21s in the Football League Trophy on Tuesday, the 3rd of September. This one's at Brisbane Road, and very importantly, kicking off at 7 p.m. So don't get there for 7:45, otherwise you're going to miss most of the first half. Get there in that one. And like we mentioned earlier, we're due to play Peterborough on Saturday, 7th of September. But as we mentioned earlier, this game's postponed. We've got 3 international call-ups. Do not go to Brisbane Road on Saturday, because if you do, it's all going to be shut and you're going to look like a right plonker walking around in your Orient top.
So, a sponsorship reminder as we end it. John, thanks for joining us this week from Carol Langley Florist. John and the team of experienced florists can be contacted on 0208 529 4130, or you can get in contact with them on social media. They're at Carol Langley E4, at Essex Biz on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. They're also on Insta. Carol Langley Florist is their handle, and Facebook, just search Carol Langley Florist.
All right, so that is it. Thank you for joining us for episode 362. And it's been a strange week down at the Orient, from the euphoria of beating Championship side Millwall to progress to the third round of the Carabao Cup on Tuesday, enjoying Premier League Brentford away in the competition on Wednesday, to a lacklustre transfer deadline day on Friday with 2 more young loan signings, and then on to Saturday's disappointment at the poor performance away at Shrewsbury, which was rooted to the bottom of League One with 4 matches and 4 losses. It has been a week of mixed emotions, but with a break now from league action for 2 weeks, Richie and his staff will get some quality time with the squad, and hopefully on the next episode of the Orient Outlook podcast we'll be talking about a first League One of the season for the Arrows. Yes,
Yeah,
amen.
If you're listening on iTunes, as always, subscribe, give the podcast a rating. 5 stars would be very much appreciated. It does help other fans find our podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate the show. You can even leave a comment on each episode, so please do so if you get the chance. And don't forget to follow us or add us to your favourites on your chosen podcast provider, and that way you'll get all the episodes as soon as they're available. We're also on smart speakers, the Fan Hub app, and we're also on YouTube, so listening to the podcast couldn't be easier. If you've got an older relative, a loved one, an Orient chum, someone with a passing interest in Orient who you think will be interested, please grab their phone, download the podcast for them, and pass on the pod.
So John, like we said, thank you. So your final thoughts in? Not too worried? It's all going to be all right?
I think so, in the long run. It's easy to get negative early doors. It's not been a great start, we all know that. But, with the players we've got to come back and hopefully a bit of bedding in, and we'll start picking up some points, as we could have had some already.
Yeah.
All right, so if you want your 15% off your flowers, go and see John and Carol Langley Florist. Not only will you get top service, you'll also get 15% off, and you'll have a great chat and a positive chat about the Orient. Thank you to John, and thank you for all you do for the podcast. We're very privileged to have you on board.
Boys.
Yes, we'll be back with episode 363 in 2 weeks' time with all the information and views that you could ever need. We look forward to hearing from you, and as always, keep calm, stay safe, have a great week, and listen to the Orient Outlook podcast.
Up the O's.